What's going on, guys? It's Riley here from CryptoFit, and today we're going to be looking at the cryptocurrency known as Litecoin. Some say the silver to Bitcoin's gold. Well, before I begin this video, I want to preface it by saying that I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, and it's just for education. This is just my thoughts and my analysis on Litecoin, and you should only use this as one source of information when deciding whether you want to invest in this cryptocurrency or not. So, first of all, just like I did in my Dash video, I want to just highlight what's going to be in this sort of analysis. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to again put timestamps in the description below. So if you want to only see a particular part of this video, you can just go down and click on the timestamp and it will take you to that part of the video. So first of all, we're going to have a look at what is Litecoin and just like a basic background, what it actually is, the block time, coins circulating, things like that. Then having a look at its features, the things that make it unique about the technology and things like that. And then why is it useful, what gives it advantages over other cryptos like Bitcoin, and what are some of the use cases for it. Then we'll have a look at the team, the community behind Litecoin, just to see if they are reputable or not, just to make sure. And then where do you buy and store your your Litecoin? So the wallets and the exchanges which have Litecoin compatibility. And then we'll have a look at the roadmap and then sort of my future thoughts on the future of Litecoin, things like that. And then we're going to do just a small amount, not too much, of technical analysis because it will change when you watch this video. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Alright, so now what is Litecoin exactly? Well, Litecoin, just like Bitcoin, is a decentralized digital currency, and a fun fact, it was actually created as a software fork of the Bitcoin protocol or source code. It has a current supply of 54 million coins and a total supply of 84 million coins, which is a nice low supply that gives it a good amount of value because it is fairly rare. It has a block time of 2.5 minutes, which is a quarter of the time of Bitcoin, which we'll talk about how that affects it later on in the video. The fees for Litecoin are very good. They're very low, on average about 0.01 Litecoin, which at the moment works out about 60 to 70 US dollars. 60 to 70 US cents. Wow. The block reward currently for Litecoin is 50 Litecoins, and it is halved every 840,000 blocks, which is 4 years, just like Bitcoin. And then the difficulty adjustment is also 2016 blocks, but due to the reduced block time, it is every 3.5 days. And also, just another fun fact, Litecoin is SegWit activated. So some of the features of Litecoin which are being implemented and will be implemented in the near future are the Lightning networks. So this has been sort of introduced into the Litecoin blockchain, but it's not fully rolled out. It will be rolled out over the next couple of years in a gradual process. And so Litecoin is the first crypto to adopt this technology. And what the Lightning Network does is it enables free instant transactions across the it's actually off-chain. It's across the off-chain network for Litecoin. And so you don't have to pay the fees because it's off-chain, but you do have to pay a fee to open up and close something called a payment channel. And so all a channel is, it's a multi-signature wallet, and which means it uses smart contracts. It can be set up to be unilateral, which is one way, or bilateral, which is two ways. And so it's just a payment path which people can transact value in Litecoin in this case specifically. And so this is a much more secure way of sending fees, and it also allows for greater scalability, off-chain scalability that is. And so another thing that Litecoin, the Lightning networks allow Litecoin to do is perform atomic swaps, and this is something which is also being worked on now with the implementation of the Lightning Network. And what atomic swaps are, in a nutshell, are cross-chain swaps using the Lightning Network. And so you, for example, will send someone Litecoin and they will send you Bitcoin. And this is done without the need for a centralized exchange. And so this is really, really good because it eliminates fees using the Lightning Network. Another thing that they're implementing over the next 6 to 12 months is something called MAST, and it's a privacy feature which will enable lumped transactions through a Merkle root, and this is a process called tumbling. And so you'll tumble or mix transactions together, say 1,000 transactions, and what this does is it makes it very hard to determine single transactions when you have all these bunched up and mixed transactions together. Mars will also introduce complex smart contracts to Litecoin, which are already on the chain, but they take a considerable amount of space currently, so they're not really scalable just yet. And then after MAST, what they're going to do is bring in confidential transactions, and this is just another layer of privacy on top of the MAST transactions, which is a similar technology to Monero. After this, they're going to be introducing something called covenants, and covenants are a sort of two-part thing. So when you send Litecoin currently, your coins are mixed together with other coins in the network when you're transacting, and they are lumped. They are sort of lumped together. What this allows you to do is create something called colored coins, which will give them an identity. And so you will lump all your coins together instead of having them mixed in with other people's coins. And what this does is it basically increases the efficiency as it's able to identify where the coins are quicker, and it will also reduce risk of them being lost in the network. It also allows, like I've got here, the Litecoin to be reattached to an asset. For example, in ICOs or in a computerized car when you're performing repetitive tasks like everyday tasks. For example, in a Tesla car. So your colored Litecoin, your colored coins could act as a key which allows you to unlock your car when you send those colored coins to your car, which is a pretty cool feature. I really like that. And then the second part to covenants are vaults. These is a security feature by which you create a domain which is it's linked to your wallet but is not directly connected to it. So it's a domain within the wallet but it's not directly connected. It's kind of hard to understand. And so what the vault does is when you get a vault, you will get a private key and a recovery key, and just like a normal wallet. And if your private key, your vault key, is compromised, i.e. someone hacks it, the user can use their recovery key to gain back their funds, as it will set up a return transaction back to their wallet. And so how it does this is because it puts a time delay. You can put a time delay on the transaction. So if someone wants to send the coins, you'll put a time delay for a certain amount of time. And this is because it's off-chain, so it's not going through the blockchain on the Litecoin network. And if you get to the funds in time, this means that because you have that time delay, you can recover the funds and return them to a new wallet with a new address so that the attacker can't get your coins again. Also, if your recovery key is compromised, you can still prevent the funds from being stolen by freezing the funds. However, it will also freeze the funds for the user as well. But the coins won't disappear, they'll just be frozen up. And this will just come back as a refund transaction back to the owner after a time period. So, why is Litecoin useful? Well, like we talked about before, it has a fairly limited supply of 84 million coins, and this gives it quite good value. Bitcoin is a quarter of this at 21, but 84 million is quite a small amount considering its potential application in the future. And For Litecoin, it uses a proof of work algorithm. It's a proof of work coin just like Bitcoin, except it uses an algorithm called script. And this is less energy intensive than SHA-256, which is the algorithm used by Bitcoin. Like we talked about before, low fees. The fees are much lower than Bitcoin's, which makes it more economically viable, especially for smaller transactions like microtransactions. It's not a huge thing, but it's just good to have it, especially when you are using it for multiple transactions every day. And just like I said before, its short block time means that it can handle much more transactions than Bitcoin currently, so it's slightly more scalable than Bitcoin currently. And this smaller block time makes double spending much harder because the race is much quicker. If you don't know what a race is, you don't have to worry about it. And then obviously the things like the Lightning networks, atomic swaps, mast, and covenants, which will be added in the future, will create it a much more efficient, attractive, robust cryptocurrency. And so where do you buy and store Litecoin? Well, first, actually, I'll go on to the wallets first. So you have quite a few options with Litecoin. You can put it on a hardware wallet, for example, the Ledger Nano S or a Trezor, or you can put it on the Litecoin desktop client, also the Electrum client. You have the multi-cryptocurrency wallets like Exodus and Jax. There is one iOS wallet besides Jax. One mobile wallet besides Jax, which is iOS only. It's called Loaf Wallet. And then obviously we have paper wallets, but yeah, they're not the best. So, where do you buy Litecoin? Oh, sorry, we can't find the page. Okay. Litecoin has a hell of a lot of exchanges, as you can see. Like, Litecoin is it's a coin which is on a lot of the big exchanges, which is a really good thing. Like I said in my Dash video, you want to have a coin which is on lots of exchanges, but a lot of reputable exchanges, because it means it has liquidity and it is backed and has reliability. So GDAX, BitHum, Bitfinex, Polo, Bittrex, OKX, Bitfinex, Binance, all these exchanges that most people buy off all the time. So the next thing I want to look at is the team. And this one, the team for Litecoin is a very solid team. Most people focus on the head of Litecoin, which is Charlie Lee. He's a very smart guy. He is. I will give him that, and he is actually quite animated on Twitter and really shares his opinion and is very blunt and succinct in his thoughts on the crypto market and in relation to Bitcoin and things like that. And Charlie he helped set up a lot of things with Coinbase, the exchange, and has done a lot of other work with sort of blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and he's really well respected in the community. So that is one of the things which gives Litecoin its, I guess you'd call it a fan base or a user base, because they follow Charlie because he is a head of the cryptocurrency community. And I think he will be for some time as well. And so, yeah, the team is a really good team. They've got some really good developers on board, and they are working hard to bring out new features as quick as they can. But these things do take time, and, we just got to wait until it happens. So the community, you got quite a few things to Litecoin. They're quite active. They've got forums which you can go to, which are Litecoin official forums, and then Litecoin official Reddit with 70k readers on it. Litecoin's Twitter, which is an unofficial Twitter, has 140k followers on it. And then Charlie Lee, the man I was talking about before, his Twitter has nearly 200,000 subscribers on Twitter. I advise you to go follow him, as he's really good to hear what he has to say about the whole cryptocurrency market whenever news is coming out. And so let's move on to the future of Litecoin and my thoughts on Litecoin. So the first thing is the upcoming stuff with Litecoin, and I talked about before the Lightning Network rollout, atomic swaps, then mast, then private transactions, then covenant, But one thing I didn't talk about before was this thing called, excuse my pronunciation, but Schnorr signatures, I think they're pronounced. This is something which Litecoin haven't confirmed that they're going to implement, but they are currently researching into them in order to try and implement them. And so what actually, before I can explain what they are, in a Bitcoin transaction or another normal blockchain transaction, when you send split payments, like multiple payments from the one person to different people at the same time, each of those transactions, say you send 3 transactions, each of those 3 transactions will require a signature, its own signature to verify it. And this signature takes up space, and this is one of the things that SegWit was trying to band-aid, because the signatures take up so much data. And what Schnorr signatures do, they help solve 2 problems. The first one is scalability. It's only a little bit. It doesn't solve the whole problem, obviously, but it's been shown to reduce the storage and bandwidth by 25%, because what happens is you can send split payments to multiple people. Say you send payments to 3 people. For those 3 payments, you will only need 1 signature to verify it, so it saves a lot of space on the block. And it also helps to stop spammers. And so this is due to the fact that because you only have the 1 signature for multiple transactions, it doesn't take up as much space on the network and doesn't give it that doesn't make a bottleneck in the network. And we saw this in Bitcoin. I think it was around June, July. People were spamming the network with individual split transactions, which each required an individual signature, and it backed up the network really, really badly. And so what these Schnorr signatures will do is eliminate the ability to send multiple transactions with single signatures, and instead they'll just go under the 1 signature for all those transactions, and this makes it economically unviable for the spammer. And so my thoughts on Litecoin, I like Litecoin. I really do like Litecoin, but it shares a lot of the same centralization and scalability issues as Bitcoin does. And what do I mean by this? The first, the centralization part, is due to the fact that is a proof of work blockchain, which has ASIC cards developed to mine it, which are cards specifically built to create this cryptocurrency and mine blocks. And although Litecoin is probably less centralized than Bitcoin, it is still quite centralized because it has the use of ASIC cards in it. And the scalability problems is Bitcoin, although it has a smaller block time and it has SegWit, that's not really a long-term fix. And even Lightning Network will add scalability, but my personal opinion is that there is a limit to what the Lightning Network can currently handle, and we will need to find another way to scale, possibly off-chain. We can't seem to find a good on-chain solution at the moment, but we see things like Plasma with Ethereum, which are going to be implemented in the next couple of years. But it's something, we're not mass adopted yet, so we don't necessarily need this huge scalability yet. But when the time comes for mass adoption, we will need to be ready, and we will need to be able to scale our networks to, supplement the transactions which will be occurring. And so this leads me on to my next 2 points, which is how Charlie sees Litecoin. When he talks about Litecoin, he says, I see Litecoin being used as a payment for little things like going grocery shopping and just buying little things at the shops. But you use Bitcoin for bigger transactions because it is because of its higher fees. So when you're buying like real estate or something like that. And I do see this. I don't think there will be one sort of currency, cryptocurrency, sort of universal currency when this is mass adopted. I think Charlie is right, and I think Litecoin will be a part of it, but we're just going to have to wait and see, because you never know, anything could happen. And the Litecoin-Bitcoin relationship currently because we have a lot of people who are Bitcoin fanboys, and then we have a lot of people who are Litecoin fanboys or fangirls, and they say it's going to be the currency. Litecoin's going to be the it currency when it's mass adopted, and it possibly could be. You never know. I don't know. I can't see into the future, but at the moment, Bitcoin and Litecoin are quite related in terms of price. As Bitcoin goes down, Litecoin goes down, and when Litecoin goes up, Bitcoin goes up. Not necessarily in proportion, but they are related, and I do think at the moment, if Bitcoin were to completely just crash and burn, Litecoin really would be affected, which is why I think we still need to develop both of them, and which is why we need both of them in the future, so that we can develop them to a point where if Bitcoin does crash, Litecoin will have enough to stand on to still be justifiable as a use of payment, and people will still invest and support the project. But that's just my 2 cents on it. Alright, so now let's do a little bit of technical analysis. Just like I said, and in like my previous video, we'll only do a little bit just to see roughly where it's heading and where we've been in the charts, but we're not going to go too deep into it, as it's always going to change because you're going to watch this video in the future. So, actually, hold on. I have it up already here. So first we'll look at the Litecoin USD chart, and what we can see here is that since January basically of 2017, Litecoin has been on such a great bull run, and it looks to be continuing. So you can see we've got this nice linear trend line of the support levels with Litecoin, and that is a really good sign, because you want that nice stable growth. You don't necessarily want this sort of erratic sort of wave like pattern in the USD value. In the Bitcoin it can be a bit different because you've got prices for both things going up and down, but in terms of the USD, we came up here, we shot up to $93, $94, and then after the China news came out, we got back down to about nearly a third of that. And then after that, we came up to this fib line just here, and we settled around here and flirted with it for quite, I think it was about 2 months, and just flirted with this fib line, which is good because it showed after this bull run, this is about where the linear bull run ended, and we found support here. And so that was good to see. We were just waiting for SegWit 2x during this period of time, and after the SegWit news came out, as you can see, we've sort of broken out, and we've got this new channel forming here. It's a really nice looking channel, got that nice linear looking, it's a nice linear looking channel which is not wedging or it's not spreading, which is good to see. We found a little bit of resistance on this fib line just here, and we are on our way to the next fib line, which is actually, as you can see over here, its previous resistance levels. So it will be a big determiner of bull or bear when it hits this level, because if it goes through it, if it smashes through it, it'll be looking really bullish for Litecoin, and if it comes back down and bounces off it, then maybe we'll have to think that it might be a little bearish. And so I think definitely in terms of the US dollars, Litecoin has got some big things ahead of it, especially in 2018. I think I've got no problem saying that it's going to be three digits in 2018, and I think we could even see 3 digits over the next sort of couple of months. And so anyway, onto the Bitcoin comparative chart, we can see we've got quite a bit of a different pattern forming here. We've got this sort of wave-like pattern. And so this was the altcoin bubble, and then we see the bubble burst, and we've got these few sort of dips in the price. And this is what I was talking about before, about how Litecoin and Bitcoin are related in price. Because when you see this is when the altcoin bubble burst, Litecoin came down with it, and so did Bitcoin. And then before SegWit, not 2x, in July came out, Bitcoin came down, and so did Litecoin. But the thing is, in relative, Litecoin came down a lot more in terms of percentage. So when it shot up and when it recovered, it came up much more than Bitcoin did in a sort of a ratio. And that's why you see these big leaps and these big recoveries. And since then, we've been on this sort of downtrend waiting for SegWit 2x and seeing what will happen. We haven't had that much news about Litecoin, the coin itself, other than Lightning Networks and atomic swaps. But we came down here and we bounced off this fib line around 700,000 Satoshis just here. And when the SegWit 2x cancellation news came out, it was quite timely because we bounced off and then we broke through this channel. And as we can see here, we've got this nice pennant forming, which is a really good bull sign. I do think, like I said, with the USD dollar, I do think it will go up, and I think there will be big things ahead for Litecoin. But even in the Bitcoin comparative, I do think Litecoin has been lagging behind a bit in this, and it is due a sort of a catch up to Bitcoin. So I do think the Bitcoin comparative will go up over the next sort of couple of months, and definitely over the next year. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not saying you should go buy it. I am not buying any right now. I've got a good holding in Litecoin. I've got a good long-term holding position in Litecoin because I really like it, and I'm quite happy with my portfolio arrangement at the moment. And in the short term, as we can see, I think it is looking good. We are just flirting with this top of this pennant trend. I guess you'd call it a wedge line here. And we are looking to try and break out. And we've got a little bit of room left on the RSI here, which is a bit of breathing room. And also on the MACD, it's looking very good because we've just crossed over the 0 into the positive range, which is always a really good bullish sign. So anyway, that'll do it for the technical analysis. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please leave it a comment and a like, and make sure to hit that subscribe button, as I'll be bringing out new videos on future cryptocurrencies very soon. I'll catch you later.